This is Scott, Insight Freedom. Every second matters. Today, July 2nd, 2018, 2 more days, we celebrate the 4th of July, Independence Day. That is significant. 242 years ago, this Wednesday, we declared independence. We didn't gain independence, we declared it. What did we declare it from? We declared it from the Crown. It was a long battle, a revolutionary war that followed, that was ongoing into the 1780s, and it didn't end until 1781. And in 1781, the Continental Congress met, and they agreed to the Articles of the Confederation. It wasn't even recognized by Britain for 2 more years to follow after that. And this has nothing to do with the Constitution. The Constitution didn't follow until another 7 years after that. 1788, the U.S. Constitution was written at the Constitutional Convention. There were a lot of state constitutional conventions and meetings and debates and arguments that went on around the process of formulating that and formulating the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights wasn't even adopted until 1791. George Washington was put in as president in 1789, and he served as president in New York City, which at the time was our capital. All that being said, we have to know our history. We who defend the Second Amendment and who defend the Constitution have to be keenly aware of our history. We need to be keenly aware of the debates that went on around the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We have to put things in historical context and understand why these men were arguing and debating so intensely, what they had experienced under tyrannical rule from England in the years leading up to that. We have to realize why they formulated these rights that needed to be set aside as God-given and beyond the reach of government intervention and government rules and regulations and laws. We continue to see those things pushed and prodded and twisted, disrespected on the federal level and on our state levels. One of those historic documents that will give us a lot of information from the Founding Fathers, from the people who debated, discussed, argued, laid out the groundwork for the Bill of Rights would include the Federalist Papers. And Alexander Hamilton, again made popular in our time today by the Broadway musical, is the author of many of the famous quotes within the Federalist Papers, including these that pertain to the Second Amendment, to our right to keep and bear arms. And he said the best that we can hope for concerning the people at large is that they be properly armed. He was also quoted in discussions of the surrounding the likelihood of another tyrannical government coming along at any point, or our government devolving into that. If the representatives of the people betray their constituents, then there is no recourse left but in the exertion of that original right of self-defense, which is paramount to all positive forms of government, and which against the usurpations of the national rulers may be exerted with infinitely better prospect and success than against those of the rulers of an individual state. In a single state, if the persons entrusted with our supreme power become usurpers, the different parcels, subdivisions, or districts, got to remember we were still formulating states back then, and at this point really there were only 11 states until North Carolina followed along in 1789, and then more followed after that. That's why they refer to things in terms of parcels and districts and all of that stuff. The citizens must rush tumultuously to arms, without concert, without system, without resource, except in their courage and in their despair. James Madison from the Federalist Papers. The Constitution preserves the advantage of being armed which Americans possess over the people of almost every other nation where the governments are afraid to trust their people with arms. How does it feel today? Does it feel like you're trusted with your arms? It really doesn't feel like much trust. Remember what Samuel Adams said, and that the said Constitution be never construed to authorize Congress to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms. These men discussed, laid out groundwork, have recorded documents that really describe the thoughts behind what some people claim to be vague concepts within the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Let's remember that as we celebrate here in 2 days Independence Day. Let's remember the spirit of what we're celebrating, the bravery that it took to take that stand and declare that independence from the crown. The statement of no more unjust taxation, no more unjust rule without representation, no more of your living under the thumb of the king. We will have a lot of fun. We'll watch fireworks, we'll have picnics, we'll go to parades, and all of this stuff is good as long as we keep it in the context of what that really means, what that declaration really meant. We have to appreciate that. We have to understand it. We have to know it. We have to be able to communicate it. We have to be able to communicate it clearly enough to discuss it logically with people who don't understand it or who don't care about it or who think it's outdated. Those very things laid out set us apart from the rest of the world, and the rest of the world will never understand completely who we are. I hope everyone has an incredible 4th of July. I hope you figure out a way to participate in Let Freedom Ring. Remember to drop those videos at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on July 4th. Most of all, just remember, every second does matter. Thanks for watching.
3, 2, 1.